Have you ever walked into a room and felt the energy shift, but couldn't quite put your finger on why? You notice things, tiny shifts in body language, the way someone's voice tightens, or the way someone's eyes flicker for just a moment. You wonder, is it intuition, or something more? What if I told you, this ability to observe isn't random? It's deeply wired into your brain. You've probably had moments where you just knew something was off. Maybe it was a conversation that didn't sit right, or a feeling of unease that followed a certain glance. And if you're like most people, you either ignored it or chalked it up to coincidence. But over time, these little signals, these tiny observations, can begin to feel like a pattern. Maybe you've even started questioning yourself, is this real? Or am I just overthinking? Now, this isn't about paranoia. It's not about being sensitive or reading too much into things. It's a learned behavior, an adaptation that goes deep into your brain's wiring. When you start noticing the little things, you begin to wonder how much of your world is silently influencing you. Your decisions, your relationships, your sense of who you are. But there's something deeper at play. This constant need to observe, to pick up on what isn't being said, isn't a flaw. It's a skill your brain developed to survive. Here's the thing, you're not broken. You're not paranoid. You're just wired to perceive. This extra sense that you sometimes feel is actually a product of your brain working overtime. It's trying to protect you. It's your mind's way of navigating an uncertain world, filtering the chaos of everyday life. It might seem like a curse at times, the feeling that everything around you is a bit more complicated than it needs to be. But the truth is, this pattern of hyper-awareness is an adaptive mechanism. It's your brain's way of staying a step ahead, of detecting threats, opportunities, and subtle cues that others might miss. It's a tool you've had since your very first moments. And it's a skill that anyone can master. To understand how this works, let's break it down a bit. Your brain is constantly scanning the world for patterns. It's a prediction machine, always trying to anticipate what's going to happen next. And this goes beyond conscious thought. Your brain is picking up thousands of tiny signals every second, often without you even realizing it. The way someone's body shifts, the tone of their voice, even the temperature in a room. It's like a radar system. Imagine a lighthouse. The light spins around, illuminating different parts of the sea. But it's not always clear where the danger might be. It's just scanning for the unknown. So, the more you observe, the more your brain tunes in. This constant scanning and noticing isn't random. Your amygdala, the part of your brain responsible for threat detection, works overtime when you're in these situations, helping you make quick judgments based on subtle information. Your brain is essentially running simulations, trying to predict what's happening next. And here's the kicker. This hyper-awareness can lead to you noticing things others miss, but it can also lead you to see patterns that aren't there. Your brain likes patterns, even if they're imaginary. But when you learn to channel this skill, when you focus your attention on the right things, it can become your secret weapon. Now, let's get practical. How do you master this skill of observation? How do you make this natural brain tendency work for you instead of against you? Here are a few simple steps to help you start observing more effectively. 1. Train your focus on microexpressions. What does this mean? Microexpressions are those quick, involuntary facial movements that reveal someone's true feelings, even if they don't say a word. The problem is they're easy to miss. Most people don't notice them. What to do? Start by slowing down and paying attention to the very brief, fleeting changes on people's faces. A raised eyebrow, a lip twitch, a glance to the side. Practice noticing them in everyday conversations. Why it works? Your brain picks up these changes subconsciously, and with practice, it allows you to decode emotions and intentions. The amygdala is scanning for cues, and with your attention focused, you strengthen that skill. Real-life example, imagine you're talking to a colleague who seems calm, but just before they answer a question, they quickly glance at the door. Your brain notices that even if you're not fully conscious of it. It's a sign they may be anxious, or perhaps they want to leave the conversation. 2. Listen to the tone of voice, not just the words. Words are powerful, but tone carries more weight. Your brain reads tone with much more depth than it does words. The pitch, pace, and volume all provide hidden layers of meaning. What to do? Pay attention to how something is said, not just what is said. Does their voice rise at the end of a sentence? Does it drop suddenly? Is there hesitation? Notice the subtle shifts. Why it works. Your brain interprets vocal tone in the same regions that process emotion. When you tap into this, you're able to hear the emotions behind the words. Real-life example, think about a time when someone said, "I'm fine." The words were clear, but their tone was flat or perhaps a little too sharp. Your brain probably picked up on that dissonance. It's a subtle sign that there might be something else going on. 3. Trust your gut, but question it too. Your intuition, that gut feeling, can be surprisingly accurate. But it's not infallible. Your brain's survival instinct can sometimes lead you to see threats when none exist. What to do? When you feel that gut instinct, pause. Ask yourself, why do I feel this way? What's making me feel uneasy? This helps you separate the real cues from those based on past fears or biases. Why it works. Your brain's intuition is based on pattern recognition, but it can be biased by previous experiences. By questioning it, you slow down your brain's autopilot and start to engage your higher reasoning. Real-life example, you're at a social gathering and feel uncomfortable near a certain person, but you can't figure out why. Instead of letting that unease guide you, take a moment to consider what you're seeing and hearing. Is it their posture? Their lack of eye contact? Or is it a memory from a past interaction? Engage in mindful observation. Mindfulness isn't just about feeling present. It's about observing without judgment. When you practice mindful observation, you focus on the environment around you without filtering it through your biases or assumptions. What to do? Next time you're in a conversation, simply observe. What's happening in the background? What's the energy like in the room? What's not being said? Why it works. Mindful observation helps your brain become less reactive and more analytical. It keeps you in a state of curiosity rather than judgment, allowing you to see things clearly. Real-life example, when walking into a new meeting, don't just focus on the people. Notice the room's lighting, the tone of people's voices, the way people position themselves. These small details are all telling a story. In the end, all this observation comes down to one thing: awareness. Your brain is constantly processing and interpreting the world around you. It's like a sponge, absorbing tiny clues that create a map of your surroundings. When you start observing, you're training that map to be sharper, more detailed. The more you observe, the more accurate your mental model of the world becomes. And the more you can trust yourself, not in a superstitious or fearful way, but in a deeply grounded, logical way. In the quiet spaces between words, between gestures, you have the power to see what others can't. The world is constantly speaking to you in subtle ways. When you start listening, really listening, it's not just about knowing more. It's about seeing more. Take a moment today to observe, without judgment, without rushing. Just see what's there, beneath the surface. And remember, it's not about being right or wrong. It's about understanding.